Hello, welcome to University of Fashion Drafting. My name is Umo. So I was strolling through the streets of Instagram the other day and I saw this really nice trendy cowl kaftan and I thought it would make a nice Christmas gift for my mom. So I decided to recreate it for my mom and this is how it turned out. Really beautiful. I filmed the process, so I'm going to be showing you how to go about it. So first off, I folded my fabric into four. Fabric length is 120 inches and the width is 60 inches. So first off, you can see me marking out the neckline. So for the neckline, I used 3.5 for the depth, and then the width I used 4 inches. So this is me just drawing out that neckline. So the next thing to do now is to mark my shoulder to my hip line measurement. So the shoulder to the hip line is 25 inches. So that's what you can see me marking, 25 inches. Then I would also proceed to mark the shoulder to the knee length -3 measurements. So meaning that her shoulder to the knee length is 39 inches. I'll subtract 3 inches from that, making it 36 inches. So that's what you can see me marking, 36 inches from the shoulder for the knee line measurement. So on that knee line, right, this is the knee line, I'm going to mark my hip arc +1. So remember that your arc measurements are your circumference measurements divided by 4. So her hip is 40 divided by 4, that's 10 + 1, that's 11 inches. So on that knee measurement, that knee line, or that 36 inches rather, that's knee -3 inches, I'm marking the 11 inches, and then on the hemline as well I'm marking 11 inches. Now please remember that the full length of this fabric was 120 inches, so I folded it into 2. Do you understand that? So I folded it into 2 by the length, and then I folded it by the breadth as well, meaning that I've essentially folded it into 4. Right now the length is 60 inches, so I'm marking out the arm hole measurement. So for the armhole, this is the arm area, I'm marking 9 inches. Take note of that. So this is 9 inches from the shoulder. You can see that the point I'm marking it at is the point that there's no fold. Can you see that? So I'm just going to connect from that knee, that's knee -3 inches. I'm connecting from that point to the 9 inches of the arm round. Do you understand that? So her arm round is, I think, about 14 inches. Do you understand? So meaning that on the fold it's supposed to be 7 inches, but I added 2 inches to that, making it 9 inches, so that it's just as loose as possible, seeing as it's just a kaftan. So I'm gonna head to connect those lines. Now please note that the full line, if you want your drapes to be really full, you know, you have to go the way that I'm going. You can see how I curved my own. Do you understand? Making it as wide as possible. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out right now, and then you can see me just cutting it out. Now remember that there was already allowance. Remember that what we marked at the knee and the hemline was the hip arc +1 inches. So that 1 inch is actually for seam allowance. So I'm going to cut out the neckline as well. So now when I cut out, usually when I for her, I don't want the back neckline to be too wide, so I raised it up. So now what I'm cutting out is about 2.5 inches for the depth, and then still the same 4 inches for the width, but I will still eventually recut the front area. So now this is what it looks like. Remember that I said it was folded into 4, so can you see that? So it's actually folded into 4. So you see the shoulder area is on fold. The shoulder area is on fold. So I'm just notching that shoulder area. I always prefer to notch the shoulder area of my kaftan so that I don't get confused when I'm trying to, you know, figure out the midpoint. And I also notch the midpoint of the neckline as well, so that it just gives me direction. So I'm opening this up so that I can show you how to actually stitch it. Now remember that that arm round, what we used for the measurement of the arm round was 9 inches. So I'm going to mark that same 9 inches, and then you see from that 9 inches, stitch all the way to the hem. Now remember that you're stitching on the wrong side. You're stitching on the wrong side. However, before you stitch, ensure that you whip every single place aside from this neckline. So for the neckline, I'm going to proceed to cut the facing. However, before I cut the facing, I'm going to recut that front, so that, you know, the front is not so high. Remember that what I eventually used was 2.5 inches for the depth, so I'm going to recut only the front. That's why you can see me folding the kaftan into 2 vertically. So I'm going ahead to record this, so I still have my 3.5 inches depth in front, right? And then the back depth is 2.5 inches, while the neck width for both front and back is still the same 4 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my facing. You can see my plain fabric, just the same fabric I'm using to face it. So I folded the fabric into 2 and ensure that the fold is on the same side as the fold of the kaftan itself. And so I'll just go ahead and cut this out. You can also use regular bias to actually just hem the neckline, you know, but I really don't like using bias on my necklines because I don't like that outer stitching. So I'm just cutting this out, and then I would recut the whole thing, you know, just randomly cut it. You can make it whatsoever length you want it to be, and then I'll just go ahead and I'll whip this facing as well as the main kaftan. However, before I do that, I'm just trying to notch the midpoint of my facing as well, so that I don't get confused. So I'm also going to notch the midpoint of my facing so that it's easy for me to just place it on my fabric, you know, and so on, since it's just one big circle. So this is what it looks like after I'd joined it. Remember that when you're facing that neckline, you should actually put hemming gum, so when you iron it, you know, the facing stays down. And then as for the sleeve area, you know, use hemming gum to just, you know, hem the raw edges, and then for the hem line as well, you know, use hemming gum to hem it. So now you can see that I've fixed this side button holder. Notice this thing, there's a button by the side, you know, with this tiny strap. So I'm just going to show you how to fix it. So the strap that I use is just 1 inch wide, and then the length is about 5 inches. So I just hemmed it to the wrong side. I sewed it to the wrong side of the sleeve. Can you see that? So I just top stitched it. Can you see? So I hemmed the sleeve already, and then I just top stitched it, you know, on top. So now, right, let me show you how I just fix it. So after doing that, you just pick your sleeve area. You see, you can see me just picking it and sort of like draping it with my hand. Can you see that? And then, you know, you just pull it as high as you want, and then you can go ahead and pin it, and then after which you can just stitch this in place. Now you can just stop stitch this because you're still going to fix buttons, so you know it won't be obvious. So now let me show you how to fix the belt. Now remember that the front area has a belt. I don't know, I would insert a picture so that you would actually see it, but it has, you know, this belt. So you can see the belt. Can you see? That's what she actually tied in front. So I'm going to show you how to actually fix that belt. However, let me show you the measurement of the belt. So the width of my belt, right, was about 2.5 inches after I had hemmed it though, and then the length is, you can use about 35 inches or 30 inches for your length, depending on how long you want it to be and depending on how tall you are. So now to fix the belt, right, you can see the drapes. So you know what, pick that first drape. You see the first 2 drapes, pick the first 2 drapes, and that's where we're going to attach that belt to. So now first off, measure your shoulder to your natural waist measurements. Now remember, your natural waist is 2 inches above your navel. So my mom's navel is 19 inches, so 2 inches above that, that's 17 inches. So that's what you saw me marking. So it's at 17 inches that you would actually fix that belt. Do you understand? So it gives it some form of fit. So it's not too low and then it's not too high. Do you understand that? So you can see what it looks like. This is basically what it is. We're going to go ahead and attach belts to both sides of this drapes. So you can see I've attached the first one, and then I'll go ahead and attach the second one. I just pinned it in place, right? So I'm attaching the second one. You can see I've attached the second one, and I'll just separate the pins, the middle pin that is holding it, so you can just see what it actually looks like. Can you see what it looks like? So now, right, we're just going to go ahead and stitch this in place. Do you understand? So stitch it in such a way that when you tie it, you know, it covers up the stitch. Do you understand that? So I'll just go ahead and just stitch this belt in place, and then you'll see that when I tie it up, you know, this is how it is actually going to look like. So having done that, I'm now going to go ahead and fix my buttons. I'm just using this silver, really nice buttons. So I'm just using three on both sides, so 3 for each sleeve. So I'll just go ahead and hand stitch this. Now before you hand stitch this, you know, make sure that, you know, before you attach all of these things, you've ironed all of your iron the belt, you know, iron everything, because this is a kaftan. It's just a simple thing, so it has to be as neat as possible. Ironing is your best bet when you're trying to ensure that a garment is really neat. So ensure that you iron everything in place, you know, do all the hemming gum insert all the hemming gum that you need to insert, so that, you know, all of the fabric, you know, it just, you know, sits in place and just sits right. So after fixing it, you know, on both sides, I'm going to show you what the final result looks like. So this is, you know, just stitching the second sleeve. And this is basically the final result. Like, I absolutely loved how it turned out. Like, it just turned out really, really nice, and I'm sure that is something that she would absolutely love. So this is basically what it was. The length of your belt can actually vary. It can be as long as this, or it can actually be shorter. So I'm sure that you found this tutorial helpful. If you have, please endeavor to give this video a thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed at this point, endeavor to subscribe to the channel. And to find out about my online courses, please follow the seller link in the description box, guys. Thanks for watching.